The natural gas fuel system is under extreme pressure. When servicing fuel system components, please follow the instructions in your reference guide or service manual supplement to relieve system pressure. This videotape is part of a complete package that includes a reference guide and a short written test. You may view this tape and read through the reference book as often as you wish before taking the test. Then, follow the instructions for mailing the test into us. You'll get the results and a verification of your successful participation in this program in a few weeks. This 1992 GMC truck is powered by compressed natural gas, or CNG. This is the same gas that comes from the ground, the gas many of us heat our homes and cook with. In this video, we'll be taking a look at how this truck differs from the conventional gasoline-powered version and how to diagnose and service the fuel system. First of all, natural gas shouldn't be confused with any bottled gas or LP-type fuels. Vehicles built to run on natural gas will only run on natural gas. Typical LP gas is heavier than air and seeks the ground whenever it is released. Natural gas, however, is lighter than air. This means that it rises and dissipates quickly into the atmosphere. Even though natural gas is not a liquid fuel, the required changes to a gasoline engine's fuel control and ignition systems are surprisingly few. Fuel is carried in special tanks under high pressure, and special stainless steel fuel lines are used to feed fuel from solenoid valves on the tanks through a manual shutoff valve, a transducer, a pressure regulator and a low-pressure solenoid, and on up to 2 injectors mounted in a plate under the throttle body assembly. A fuel return line isn't needed in this system. You may also have noticed that the location of the fuel tanks requires a rerouting of the exhaust system, and the spare tire must now be mounted inside the pickup box instead of under it. Looks simple enough, doesn't it? Well, let's get a better look. On natural gas-powered vehicles, or NGVs, special high-pressure fuel tanks are used to carry the needed volume for extended use. The tanks hold about 1,388 cubic feet of fuel at about 3,600 psi when they're full. This allows for about a 200-mile range between refills. A fuel pressure regulator, located beneath the cab, reduces this high pressure to an operating pressure of about 175 psi. And these hoses route engine coolant through the regulator housing to prevent it from icing up in colder weather. There's also a low-pressure cutoff solenoid mounted on the regulator here. This valve closes when the ignition is shut off, cutting off remaining fuel to the low-pressure side of the system. As you can see, the engine looks pretty much the same as a gasoline power plant. A heated oxygen sensor replaces the standard unit, and no AIR system is required. And since natural gas has an octane rating of about 130, the NOx sensor signal isn't needed, so it's electronically blocked out. The fuel injectors are controlled by the same engine management system used by gasoline-powered vehicles, only the PROM chip is different. They're installed lower, in the spacer, simply to reduce the amount of injector noise since their operation isn't dampened by a liquid fuel. The fuel injectors are designed specifically for natural gas, but operate just like the original gasoline versions. During engine startup, the fuel system is controlled in the same manner as a gasoline system. The ECM still allows fuel pressure to build for about 2 seconds when the ignition is first switched on. It then cuts off the fuel unless it senses an engine cranking or oil pressure signal. Instead of a fuel pump, though, the original fuel pump signal is used to operate a relay that opens a solenoid valve mounted on each of the fuel tanks and on the pressure regulator. The tank-mounted valves have a dual purpose. They allow fuel to go to the engine when it's running or when the ignition is first turned on, and they permit refilling of the tanks through these separate lines while keeping the rest of the system shut off. Filling the tanks is done under high pressure by connecting a Scherex or Hansen coupler to the one-way filler valve located behind the standard fuel filler door. Filling usually takes about 5 minutes. The fuel filler door is modified with a switch that won't permit the engine to start unless the door is closed. When the door is open, the fuel solenoid relay ground path remains open. This is to avoid the possibility of driving off with the high-pressure filler hose still attached, and federal regulations state that the engine must be unable to start while being refueled. You can familiarize yourself with the circuit by referring to the schematic diagram in your reference guide. Another fuel control valve is located here, under the left side of the cab. This is a manual 1/4 turn quick shutoff valve that is required by law to be installed on natural gas-powered vehicles. The valve is open when the handle is in the direction of fuel flow and is closed when the handle is at 90 degrees or across fuel flow. Located near the shutoff valve is a pressure-sensitive transducer that serves as the sending unit for the standard fuel gauge. This electrical connector found near the transducer is a 5-amp inline fuse for the fuel tank solenoid valves and the low-pressure cutoff solenoid. The original fuel gauge and the original circuit remain intact and are tested in the normal manner that's outlined in the service manual. The fuel lines used for natural gas are formed stainless steel, except for a short length of special flexible line that's certified for natural gas that goes to the engine. It's here just to compensate for the usual vibrations and movements of the drivetrain. Now, let's take a closer look at the fuel tanks. Just like the oxygen acetylene welding tanks you may be familiar with, these tanks must pass very strict certification tests. And since these tanks are used in a motor vehicle, they are also certified against collision damage. At the rear of each tank is a safety or pressure relief valve. In case the tanks become overpressurized or heated beyond 291 degrees Fahrenheit, one or all of the valves will open and rapidly expel the fuel. If the engine is still running, all the tanks will be emptied even if only one valve has opened. The relief valves are not serviceable. If a valve blows, you must replace the entire tank assembly. You may think that releasing all that fuel into the air would cause a few serious problems, but remember what we said about natural gas. It's combustible only in high concentrations. It's lighter than air and dissipates quickly. Natural gas can be vented without harm. However, when working with natural gas in an enclosed area for any length of time, proper ventilation is required. Most of the regular maintenance on NGVs, as on this truck, is the same as for their gasoline-powered counterparts. There are no special schedules to keep. Whenever you're working on a natural gas-powered vehicle, you should remember to follow the same safety procedures you already use when you're working on any other type of vehicle. Don't smoke while working on or around the fuel system, and wear the proper safety clothing. And vent the exhaust out of the shop if you need to run the engine. When working on a natural gas vehicle, however, there are a few additional precautions you should follow. First, whenever you're working on a fuel system component forward of the manual valve, relieve the fuel system pressure by closing the manual valve and then starting the engine, allowing it to stall. Then turn the ignition off. You can also relieve pressure at the tanks by cracking the filler line loose. But again, open it just a little and allow the pressure to bleed off slowly. And an important reminder here. Service the fuel system only in a well-ventilated area that is away from sparks and open flame, including overhead open flame heaters. If you need to release a large amount of pressure to service a component, you should release the pressure outside the shop. Whenever you replace a threaded component, you must apply a semi-liquid type anaerobic pipe thread sealer that contains Teflon, or TFE, before installing it. And now let's look at some simple diagnoses. Diagnosing the fuel system on the natural gas-powered truck is as simple as following the existing diagnostic procedures for the gasoline-powered 5.7-liter V8 engine. The fuel control system is run by a standard 1992 ECM with only a different PROM installed. This means you can use the Tech 1 tester with the existing 1992 cartridge for retrieving codes. Just remember to ignore any knock sensor information. The 1992 electrical diagrams and diagnosis manual can also be used to locate concerns within the fuel delivery circuit and the fuel gauge circuit. The only differences are that instead of a fuel pump, there are 3 fuel tank solenoids, a low-pressure cutoff solenoid, and the inline fuse located near the transducer. So if you're diagnosing a no start or checking for power to the fuel or low pressure solenoids, be sure to check this fuse as well as the 20 amp B positive fuse that provides switched power to the relay. Also, check the filler door switch. Even if the fuel solenoids are getting power, they won't operate if the switch is open because the ground side of the solenoid relay circuit passes through it. The fuel gauge sender is a pressure-sensitive transducer instead of a float unit. But checking the fuel gauge circuit remains the same as for gasoline-powered vehicles, and you can use the gasoline vehicle wiring diagrams. The fuel gauge can also be used to diagnose limited mileage range symptoms by verifying that all 3 tank solenoids are working. By connecting only one fuel tank solenoid valve at a time and turning the ignition switch on, a non-functioning valve will be detected by the fuel gauge as an empty tank. For the complete procedure, refer to the reference guide. When checking the fuel pressure, use Kent Moore tool number J21867, or an equivalent pressure gauge that will safely read up to 200 psi. To test fuel pressure, install the gauge to the port located on the pressure regulator. Do not test the high pressure side of the system. Turn the ignition switch to the run position. The fuel solenoids will operate for 2 seconds. When the fuel system is charged up, the pressure should hold at about 175 pounds for about 1 minute. If it doesn't, look for leaks using soapy water at all the connections or any other suspected area. Bubbles will appear if a leak is present, and there's always that distinctive natural gas odor to let you know there's a leak. If the pressure regulator is leaking, replace it. Don't try to repair it. After you've repaired the leak, pressurize the system again by running the engine. The system should hold about 175 pounds for about 1 minute. If the system doesn't hold within 5 psi and there are no leaks, replace the pressure regulator. For other drivability-related concerns, you can use the NGV Service Manual Supplement. All your testing equipment will operate as it would on a gasoline-powered vehicle, and all engine diagnostic procedures are the same. For example, if during testing a lean condition is detected, you'll still get an integrator value above 128. And if a rich condition exists, the value will be below 128. Naturally, exact numbers will vary from vehicle to vehicle, but these symptoms may be related to fuel pressure being too low or too high, and you may need to check it following the procedures outlined in the reference guide or service manual supplement. Complete diagnosis and on-vehicle service procedures are contained in a special natural gas vehicle service manual supplement. You should know that some states and counties, or other municipalities, may require that you be certified in NGV systems in order to service natural gas-powered vehicles. So check with your service manager or your local Automotive Regulations Bureau on the requirements in your area. And now that you've viewed this videotape, go on to the reference guide. The reference guide contains more information concerning specifications and outlines many special service procedures. These items are also covered in the written test. When you feel pretty comfortable with the material, try taking the written test at the back of the reference guide. Feel free to go back into the guide or even review this tape if there are questions you have trouble with. After you've completed the test, mail the answer sheet in. We'll send you the results in a few weeks along with verification of your successful participation in this program. You know that keeping up with the latest changes in alternate fuels keeps you in step with the ever-changing automotive scene. Your knowledge of CNG systems adds to your value as a skilled technician and lets you do your part toward a safer, cleaner environment.